It's Valentine's Day. And sometimes it's hard to keep that spark alive. And I think sometimes a good way to keep that alive is to just remember how you met and how you fell in love.
Talk about our love stories a little bit.
Talk about our love stories.
Can we talk about love stories?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Wait. I have a really good idea. Okay, we're going to stop.
Oh, no.
We'll be right back.
Oh, wait, real quick. If you would hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, whatever you have in store.
I have an idea.
Is this something people need to be watching?
Yeah, you have to watch.
Anytime Kaela says this,
it's usually
we're in trouble.
Stay tuned.
If you're listening on a podcast platform, hit subscribe there, of course, but then you probably want to go see what's happening on YouTube. Okay,
Yeah.
be right back.
Okay, we're going to be right back.
All right.
This is Hi, My Name is Mom, a podcast about motherhood. Here are your hosts, Jen, Corri, and Kaela.
How long is Kayla's train?
Couch?
Yeah, right there. Can you get down and get it? Do you need me to do it for you?
I don't know. Let me try it. Ready? I'm afraid to bend over.
I got it. Okay, come get on the couch with us. I need my wine.
Get it?
Oh no, I'm stuck on your dress.
Got it?
Thanks.
Here you go. I can't breathe. I've had 4 children. Nothing is even tied up here.
Kaela, can you sit up? She had.
That's a great idea.
I was a double A when I wore this dress.
And you are not anymore.
What made you fall in love with John? Go.
Oh my gosh. Oh, goodness.
Good Lord.
Do you not want to go first?
Insecurities and being 21. No.
That is so romantic.
It's so honest.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I mean, I've loved him forever, but it's so weird because I feel like we've gone through so much and we were always together, but I truly feel like I was so immature in my relationship with him, like in my 20s and even when we got married, that I don't feel like I actually felt truly in love with him until like 5 years ago. And not that I wasn't in love with him, but I think that we just had so much gunk in our lives that
like a more mature love. Like a different,
like real, like or maybe it's just a deeper love.
I feel like you actually talked about this relatively recently about when you went on a date with him because someone smelled bad.
Oh yeah, you only went on a date with John because another guy stopped.
But when did you know you were in love with him?
When did I know I was in love with him?
Or do you feel like you were never truly in love with him until more recently?
No, I was in love with him. Oh my gosh, I just shoved a chocolate in my mouth. That was really good.
I look like I'm looking down hills. I'm literally. I'm like
they're pretty.
You know, I bet I could squirt you with milk.
No, that's okay. Milk and chocolate might mix, but milk and wine don't.
Okay. Like, look at the dust from my dress.
And the bugs. There are literal bugs in your dress. That's hilarious. But it's very beautiful.
Thank you.
It's super pretty.
Thank you. Anyways, it's weird because I feel like with Jonathan, it just fit and it just made sense.
Yeah.
And so there was never this like aha moment. I think as soon as we started dating, it was just like, oh, weird. Well, this is my person.
Yeah.
This is who I'm going to be with. I know I'm in it for the long haul. And so even though things were really bad for a while, and especially when we were in California, like, God love, we used to have roommates when we lived there.
That is tough.
That's hard.
And, like, I think that their version of us
is different.
I mean,
oh, yeah.
I know for a fact, some of them I'll still chat with sometimes online. Like, I don't have bad relationships with any of them, but they're just like, oh my gosh. Y'all were like.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot. And, yeah, I mean, John's changed so much. I've changed so much. And I didn't realize how much I enabled certain things until I was old enough to just stop enabling it. And
well, interestingly, you and I got married so much younger than Corri.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like technically in our life, I got married at what, 30, 29?
Yeah.
And you got married at what age?
I was 24.
Yeah. And you were 30.
30. Was I 36 yet? Let's see.
It was like 2016.
36.
Does that sound right? When did you get
I was
married?
36. 2014. Well, Ty and I did two different.
Yeah.
We did a courthouse.
I know. I realized I was opening up a can of worms when I said that.
Yeah, no, we did a courthouse wedding in 2013, and our big wedding was in 2014, and that courthout wedding was a secret to most people.
Yeah.
Until much later.
You know,
because
really
we
funny?
never wanted to feel like anyone. So many people that are so dear to us traveled to be there for our wedding, and we never wanted to diminish what that meant to us. and we have a really funny story about our courthouse wedding. But then the wedding where we celebrated it with all of our people was our wedding.
The
What was your
celebration
funny
of your
story?
love. Well, you know what's funny is recently, like very recently, my mom is like, Leah's my aunt.
Yeah.
She's my dad's brother's wife. And she's been as close to like a godmother as I've had my whole life,
Yeah.
right? And Leah and my mom were talking, and Lee's like, oh, yeah, you know, Jen and Adrian, they got married in California. And my mom was like, no. They got married in Boston. Lee's like, no, they got married in California. I was like, no, they got married in Boston at the stateroom overlooking Boston Harbor. We were all there. She's like, no, they got married in California.
Did you?
We did, in fact, get married
'cause it's so
in a
much
cheesecake
easier.
factory in Sherman Oaks, California. And I don't know how Lee remembered that, but it was
How
like a
much
random,
Before.
it was like 2 weeks. We
Yes,
had to, or a week even. It was a week. It was right before we left, but
Yeah.
Boston, Massachusetts has this crazy like you get your license and there's a 5-day waiting period.
What happened?
She's laughing.
Oh, I know what happened.
I'm not gonna say, but I know what that's like because we
Uh-huh.
didn't get
Oh,
married
yeah.
in California.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's another trick
Right.
question.
You have an
Anyway.
interesting question mark on your marriage.
I don't guess we haven't even talked
We're
about
married.
So
We had a wedding.
Ty and I got married after it was both weddings were after we had our son. So
Right.
both remain scandalous. I do
perfect.
remember my mom at one point being like,
Of all my
Are you
friends, I
gonna
never
do-
expected you to have the scandalous wedding.
No one did. And I remember my mom being, I'm such a goody two shoes. I remember
Love
my
it.
mom being like, well, are you going to do the wedding? Because we got engaged in January. I found out I was pregnant this is hopping to my story. Let's finish yours and we'll circle. Like
Oh. No.
We could jump around
Yeah.
too.
Well, I like you said was much older, and I had gotten out of a really long-term relationship with someone who is truly family to my family, which is, if we ever talk about like the things that people think is the weirdest thing in your
That's
life,
really
it's
hard.
probably that my ex of many, many years is like uncle to my
Yes.
my children, and
You guys,
best friends
I'm
with-
sorry.
I don't
I'm
think that's
getting
weird.
like
Hilarious.
I'm hiding in my boobs.
You're fine.
I personally
It's
do
fine.
not think that's weird at all. I
No,
love
okay,
him.
that's good.
No,
He's wonderful.
I
yeah.
think it's wonderful. I get that other people might think it's weird.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I
but-
think it has to be very specific circumstances for you to be able to be that close with someone that you were in a relationship
I
with.
feel like that with any relationship because I truly feel like people that knew Jonathan and I in California are like, how are you guys together?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so I
yeah.
think that
Me
like
too.
no matter what type of relationship it is, it's so circumstantial between like you and that person, and it's no relationship is cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And
Do either of you guys believe that like when you're in a relationship and you move on to another relationship clearly Corri does not believe this, but do you believe that you have to like ditch your past loves as friends?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't either. How do you feel about that? I have a feeling you feel differently than us.
Yeah.
I think it's like what I just said. I think it's circumstantial. I think
well,
it
and I
depends
agree
on
with
your.
that, too.
I think it depends on your emotional health
If
and,
you have
and what
like
the
this
history
crazy
is.
sexual chemistry or like
yeah.
what could have been, or you
Yeah.
have any kind of longing for that relationship, it's a completely different thing.
It's
My
true.
relationship was one that I think we both feel that we were kind of best friends all along.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly the relationship was about the best friendship, and at some point
It became
we acknowledge that. And I also think so Ty was best friends with a girl that he had dated on and
That's
off
right.
for years, and so we both understood each other, and we both came from industries where like I might be making out with some other dude on camera and
Yeah.
he's like flirting with someone on the air.
Yeah.
And so there was no world where us having crazy trust
Yeah.
it wouldn't work
wouldn't
unless we
exist
had that
otherwise.
crazy trust. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think under the right circumstances, you hold people that have been dear in your life. Now it's different if you were in a toxic relationship. If
Yeah.
you were, and now it's like we have this great, like we're all just great friends. And
See, I love that. And I
Yeah,
think that
it's
I feel
awesome.
like when you have those relationships, every important relationship in my life, I've probably had 5 or 6 that I can look at, it was like a lightning bolt moment. It was like a moment of electricity, and it has nothing to do with like chemistry or love at first sight or any of that stuff. It was more like this person is going to be important in my life. And
I love
and
that.
all of my important relationships I can trace back to that exact moment.
did you have a lightning bolt with me? No, I'm kidding.
Wait, I'm trying to think how we met.
I don't remember the moment
I
we
don't
met. I
either.
just know that we met through mutual friends.
Yeah.
I had a lightning bolt with you.
You did?
Yeah, you
did.
guys did. I truly believe that soulmate thing, that like
I
the
did.
lightning
Well,
bolt
it
thing
exists in
happens with
friendship
people.
still.
Do you know
it
what's
does.
funny? It's
The boobs of this are up
You,
so
I'm
much higher
pretty
than
sure
they're meant
you
to
were
be.
wearing red pants at Jesse's
don't
30th.
remember.
I'm pretty
Sounds
sure you
nice.
were in like red, like some type of jeans or pants
Yeah.
with like black heels and the black shirt. I feel like I can just see you. And I remember like you were talking and you were chatting and you were just like like doing that.
Bubbly.
And I was like,
Doing your work, like work in the room.
well, and I truly didn't know anybody in the room other than
I only knew a couple people.
I only knew, like, I knew Katie and I knew Jessie, and I barely knew Jessie, but she was the birthday girl, and so she was like bebopping
Is this
around.
becoming about our love stories?
It totally is. But I just remember seeing you and feeling like really insecure in the sense where, and at that time in my life in Nashville, I truly didn't have a ton of great friends.
Yeah.
And I just remember like thinking to myself, I'm actively going to try and find non-toxic friends.
I was in that phase too. And not even the toxic part, but just I need
Rebuilding
friends.
your friend circle.
I was constantly the friend that had to save everybody.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
would,
yeah.
and I realized that, so this is crazy. We're talking about love stories. Every guy that I dated, including Jonathan, which is probably why our beginning was a little rocky, I felt like I needed to fix them.
Yeah.
And
I don't see your boobs.
and so I was constantly dating, I'm an empath. I was constantly dating narcissistic men. So for me, I feel like in friendships, I didn't realize how much I needed to be the savior in all these relationships, which is a whole like therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
And so between love story or friendships, I realized that I was just enabling myself to have a lot of unhealthy relationships. I think I've told you this story before. I was crazy insecure. And so the part of me that
I think a lot of people are in their 20s. I wouldn't feel bad about that.
I was just trying to tell you, okay, as we were changing in there and you were putting on your dress, I was like, your body looks amazing.
It does.
And you were active. Look at you. You have complete inability to accept a compliment.
Do you want chocolate? Oh, God.
I mean, seriously, you have like rockin' abs. Your boobs look great. You have like a great butt.
Her proportion is really
you
nice.
Look
Like,
amazing. And I
like cover
but
myself
listen,
in
but I go,
You look
Kaela,
healthy.
I go,
You
Kaela,
look really
me in the eye. I
healthy.
want you to hear me. You look amazing. Like I covet those abs.
I don't. They're
you look-
underneath.
yeah,
the
shut your face because you're just listening right now. You are not denying
You're not
what I'm
allowed to
saying.
talk. You don't have the talking stick.
But she has to do that because she's uncomfortable. She has to do that because she's uncomfortable accepting the compliments. But
She looks awesome. Also, your back looks really good.
I know.
Show the camera your back. I mean, damn, girl.
But she can't hear it. Anyone listening, please go check Kaela out. Anyone watching, and she's happily married, but still, we can also give her some love and let her know she's beautiful. Drop a comment. Drop a comment if she's a hottie.
Ready? Eat it, you little hottie. What's this one? A Weight Watchers? It's got a W on it.
This is what I do when people give me a compliment.
I'm sorry, Corri. We ate your whole box of.
No, I'm
wait.
glad you did. Okay, tell us your love story with Adrian. I'm so excited.
Okay, so y'all know I got married really young, right out of college. And
So
I
you were
realized recently I was
22?
21.
Oh, 21.
I was talking to a friend because I graduated in December 2000.
Okay.
Wait, do you realize that we all technically have scandalous marriages?
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah.
You don't talk about your scandal,
I don't talk
but
about my scandal.
Well, so we got married. My ex-husband and I got married in summer of 2001. And what I realized, like talking to some really close friends recently,
I would have been like a flower girl.
you would have like
my
a freaking baby. You would have been a baby. I met Corri maybe that year or the year after
it
that.
was the year after. You were
My
newly
bachelorette party. I
divorced.
was newly divorced. So it was 2002,
Yeah.
2003. Okay. So
I
her
moved to LA
Is this Maury Lee?
in 2002.
For
Okay,
Vera
so I
Wang?
paid. How much do you think I paid for this dress?
I'm
It
gonna
might
say
just be
I'm gonna say $3,000.
22.
I'm just guessing.
$600.
That's me. That's what I paid because I didn't give a shit.
And then I also spent $600 on alterations. But,
Yeah, well,
but
still.
I
Kaela spent 10 times that.
10
5,000 on that dress.
57.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna guess.
I'm making sure I'm not giving like side boob. As
You're not.
Okay, love stories. Love stories.
Love stories.
God.
Love stories. Love
I mean,
stories.
love can also be your wedding.
That's true.
Anyway, okay, so after I got divorced, so I didn't realize this until recently, actually. But I always viewed marriage as the end of a relationship. Like, not where your relationship was over, but like the end goal. It was like your
Right.
goal was marriage.
Well, I think everyone thinks
Right.
like
It's like
that when they're
you
young.
have a relationship, you get married, right?
You have friends who get married to fix relationship
Right.
problems.
And for me,
Well,
I
that
think
was me,
that's
yeah.
why I went through with it ultimately, because I was like, no, we have to get married. It's either get married or break up. And I don't freaking want to break up. That is
what?
very nice.
No one ever does this to you.
No, that's true. She's always the one that is massaging.
She's always the one taking care of
I'll
everyone.
put my
Do you want more
back out
chocolate?
once.
I'll
No.
put.
I told you we were gonna love on you.
I know you look
You
so
had a rough
good.
day. I just thought I should love on Kaela right now.
This is how these conversations go. When you have kids, it's like you're used to like very sporadic, lots of segues, side conversations. So Adrian worked for Adam Sandler for a decade, and I worked at Comedy Central for 6 years. And so we finally got on a project together, and we knew of each other for a long time just because we were in such a small circle. And we were doing this project with Nick Swartzen through Sony called Gay Robot. And we had sort of like, we had been flirting, and I think that our mutual bosses thought it would be funny to put us both on the same project. So we met at this
they
place.
kind of knew.
Well, I don't.
Ish.
Yeah, they did. They put us on this project, and we decided to meet for drinks at Arnold Schwarzenegger's restaurant in Venice called Shotzi on Main. Do you remember Shotzi?
I remember you talking about this date.
Yeah. Well, I will never forget. I walked into the restaurant. Adrian was sitting at the bar. He kind of stood up and he had this smile. And it was that same sort of electrical moment that I've described with people where I was like, wow, you're going to change my life somehow. Right. And it was drinks. I mean, we wound up like making out on the beach. The beach is like 10 yards from there. So who could not make out on the beach? But it was really fun. We were not in, maybe this is TMI. We were not in a monogamous relationship for
He was your
years.
hookup.
He was my hookup.
Yeah.
I'd go on a bad date and then I'd call Adrian.
Yep. I distinctly remember this because you used to hang out with him a lot, but you would always say,
I was like, he's not
"Oh,
my forever.
hookup. He's my hookup."
I thought he was just like, because he didn't seem like the type that would ever settle down. Ever.
Little did you know.
Little did I know.
He's Mr. Dad.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah. And I guess I don't really know. It was such a slow thing. It was like my sister was getting married. I invited him to go on a cruise with my family because they were
That's a
doing
big
it.
deal, though.
Well, yeah, it was
That's
like
not hookup. That's like boyfriend.
And we had been together for years. And at that point, it was like 2005 by this
Okay.
point. So it's been like 3
But
years
when
of
did
hooking
you
up.
cross the hookup into?
That year. Because
Okay.
it was like, you know what? We've been doing this for 3 years. We either, and by the way, I was
Obviously.
dating all kinds of guys. You remember
Yeah.
Sim? You remember Tyler?
Yeah.
Like there were guys that were really integral parts of my life in that time.
Yeah.
But it always kind of came back to
came back to
Adrian.
him.
And I remember saying, like, do you want to go on this cruise? And we went on the cruise. We had a great time. Amy was there. Amy and John were there because Amy met her husband at my bachelorette party in Vegas,
Yep.
which is shocking. Anyone meets anyone in Vegas and gets married. But that
happened.
worked.
It was
that
a love
worked.
story. It was a fairy tale.
Yeah, and so we looked at each other and we were kind of like, okay, we're either gonna do this and it's gonna work, or we're not gonna do this anymore. Like we're old enough where like we have to either
How old were you at this time?
Late
probably
20s?
25,
Oh,
20.
mid-20s, okay.
Yeah, I was like 25, and then so we moved in together, and then a couple years after that we got engaged. We got engaged in maybe 2000.
Is this
7.
your engagement ring? Is this what he proposed?
Yeah. I need to have it redone. And this is the only like actual wedding band I have left, which is now missing 3 diamonds. But the other
When
one
did
I lost.
you know that you were in love with him? Versus
I don't
like
remember.
somebody I like hooking up with.
You know what's funny? It's like
Like-
with other men in my life, I remember distinct moments.
Yes.
And I also remember like Tyler, for example. Sorry, Tyler, for throwing you under the bus. But I remember like staying at his house, and one morning I went out to my car, and he had gotten in my car and written "I love you" on my rearview mirror. I remember that very specifically. I don't remember it with Adrian. It was so gradual. It was like we were friends, and we were like hooking up, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, this is like really good. We either have to do this and we're gonna do it forever, or we just need to let each other go because it's one or the other, you know. He proposed to me. My friend Devin Odessa knew. She was one of the only, and Jeff Baldinger. They were the only 2 people that knew that we were getting engaged that night. And he had proposed to me on a Scrabble board.
Oh, cute.
It was really,
That's
really
cute.
sweet. So it was like,
How
I don't
did
know, it
John
was great.
propose?
Oh, I have a
You're trying to
video. Okay, so I have a video. I will say he did really good on the proposal. So, he found, when I was in high school, I started making, you guys, I will have to, I don't know if you've ever seen my wedding book that I made, like in
The
high school.
sexy one?
No,
Oh, not
no,
that
no.
one.
Like, I legit had this, I'm going to have to I'll have to show you guys. It's a wedding book,
Yeah.
and it has every boyfriend that I've ever had. It's a scrapbook of them.
That's awesome.
And it has pros and cons on everyone I've dated.
God, you have to bring that in.
You have a pros and cons list?
Oh, it's pictures. It's
Thank
scrapbooks.
God I never dated Kaela.
She is like a living, breathing version of Reese Witherspoon.
The cover of it says Kaela Jean ? And it's in pink and yellow. To this day, my favorite. And I think I started making it when I was like,
who dreamed of your wedding.
I did. I was.
Oh my God, I love it.
Which is why I've owned a venue and an event space, like, and all that stuff.
you
Because
really
I
got
truly-
into the business.
I truly love weddings.
Yeah.
Like I do. I
You
don't
might want to
love.
watch your dress. I think it's fine.
I think this is
you're
up
covered.
so
All right,
high.
good. There you go.
I
Like,
think you're good.
just so we know, it's not going down on my hips. Okay, there's
Oh
no.
my gosh, it's funny.
just up
okay.
here.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean
Okay,
to
so
interrupt.
I had, and he found it when I was in Ohio, and because it was like under my bed,
Yeah.
and like when he would come out to visit and stuff.
Wait,
and
he found the book?
he found the book, and I was moored. Okay, but here's the thing.
Was he in it?
Yes,
Oh, thank God.
and
Can you imagine if he wasn't?
yes,
Oh
he
my
was.
God.
And so, but it had like pros and cons, and like in the cons,
You have got to like bust out his pros and cons. That's hilarious.
I will. I should have brought the book.
You
It's
should have
so. If you guys see all of my dream weddings, like
I'm
just
dying now. Now I want to know.
it's a thing. It's a real thing. And
What was on the con list?
like puts himself first, like is a little self-centered, like all the things you already know about John. Like, but
Oh my
Oops.
God.
so one of our biggest fights when we were dating is we weren't engaged yet. And I would like we were dating for a year and a half, and I was really insecure that we weren't engaged yet.
Okay.
This is
And
Was
Right.
it because your friends were engaged or because you just in your own timeline
so here's
thought
the
it was...
thing. All of my friends, all of my closest friends at the time, I'm from a small town in Ohio.
Yeah.
They all were getting married,
Young.
engaged senior year of college.
I know, I'm empty too, and I don't want to get up and
Oh,
go get
man.
wine. I mean, I could. Do you want me to go get
Engaged,
No,
some?
no, you're fine.
Engaged senior year of college
finished
and
the bottle.
married like the summer after. And so for me, that was the normal track. And
Yeah.
if you weren't on the track to be married by 22,
You're behind.
you're
You're an
behind.
old maid.
You're
Yeah.
an old
We used
maid.
to call it an MRS degree.
Yeah.
People
And
go to
so-
college to find their husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why am I not engaged yet? We've been together for a year. We love each other. We're living together. We're like,
We're 22.
We're old.
I was like, you're 29 years old. What are you going to do with your
What's wrong
life?
with you?
Like, no, we legit had fights over it. And now, like, that's why I'm saying, like, there was unhealthy things on both of our
Yeah.
sides. Like, I
Yeah.
had to, like, experience the world a bit and calm
Right.
down. And... But like he also had to grow up a bit and like
Right.
settle down, you know? Like there
Yeah.
was like a good
Meet in the middle.
we 80-20 because he married the part of me that like made him fresh bread and
That's
meal
right.
prep.
Yeah,
Like
true.
he knew like from the start, like part of the reason I know he fell in love with me is I started packing his lunches, like it from like
You took care of him.
from
That's
like
really
a
sweet.
month in our relationship. I started like
Yeah.
he would take me to Costco and he would buy me groceries and like
To,
as
cook, to make for him.
to make for him. And then he would say, you know, keep whatever leftovers you want. And I'm like, oh, I used to think it was the most romantic thing ever. Now I'm like, that's not, you were a full grown man with a well paying job that was just like getting free cooking. But, oh gosh.
So how did he propose?
So he proposed. Sorry, I got back to the wedding book, which is a whole, that's a
We
whole
need to-
thing.
We need,
I know.
to
We need some
to see
socials
that.
about that. Actually, I think maybe.
So yeah, so he saw this wedding book and he saw my absolute dream ring that I picked out when I was 15 in typing class because that's when we could browse the internet from JB Star. And this he got it, he nailed it. And but it had a pink center stone diamond.
Uh-huh.
And so he had my ring made as like pink diamonds around the
Exactly.
halo with the pink center stone diamond. And we went home for a wedding and he already had the ring and I didn't know it. And he was going to propose in my hometown. On my favorite place in the entire world is my parents' dock, like on their pond. I used to go there and write songs and just like dream. So he was going to propose to me on the dock of my parents' pond. And we're flying home and I'm like, you know what? I saw someone the other day that had a pink diamond and I didn't like it. I don't think I can
All the
commit
way
to it.
home for him to propose?
I don't think I can commit to it. And so he told my mom, he's like, maybe I should just print out a picture of the ring in like black and white and like still propose on the dock of the pond. Like, so he didn't propose. So we went home. We did the wedding. No, I had no idea he was going to. And so, but at this time, I'm like, we've been dating for 2 years. Like, what is going on?
Mad at him that he didn't propose, not knowing you had just busted the proposal.
I didn't know he was going to that weekend or anything. And so the next week, my parents are like, hey, we're coming out to California. And I was like, what? Like, I just got home. And you know, like when you live far away,
seen them. You're like,
you know how that is. When you live in California, like it's, and I was like, okay, like fun. And we were playing, I got so sick. I got like the worst cold. And this was June. I got the worst cold. And so he was going to propose to me on a Friday. And he came home from work, and I'm like NyQuil'd on the couch, like passed out.
Oh, and he has the right ring now.
He had the ring changed. He had the ring remade.
Oh my gosh!
Now I'm kind of wishing I had the pink diamond. Now that I'm older, and I'm like, I don't care what anyone else thinks.
You're like, I don't need anything flawless. I want it to be me.
Put this in a necklace and give me a pink diamond.
Yep.
So on Friday he was gonna propose. He came home. I was NyQuil'd out on the couch. He didn't. So we didn't propose. So the next day, all day he's being so sweet, like just like overly, and I
wouldn't call John sweet.
He's not sweet. No.
That's not like his natural.
And I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because I was being so bitchy that day.
Yeah.
And he was being he had so much patience with me. It crossed my mind.
You knew something was up.
It crossed my mind. I was like, is he going to ask me to marry? Like, in my mind, I remember thinking, is he going to ask me to marry him?
You knew.
Because why is he being so nice to me?
Why is he taking this?
Why? And because it was so important to him that we go to dinner with my parents in Laguna. And we were going to like he was going to cook steaks. And then he bought this like $50 bottle of wine. And I was like, I don't like that wine. I like Menage a Trois. And it's like
such a brat about everything.
And it was like an $8 bottle of wine. And so he was like so bummed that like I wanted this Menage a Trois, like $8 bottle of wine versus like this nice bottle of wine. And then on the way there, I didn't feel good. On the way there, I went to put Vicks Vapor Rub on my chest, and then I wiped my eyes. And so my eyes were watering. My whole face was swollen. And I literally sabotaged.
You are the worst person to propose to.
Yeah.
I will not propose to you.
And this is why, I was throwing a temper tantrum. And I remember, like, I put on yoga pants and like, just, like, a t-shirt, and I didn't have any makeup on. He's like, why don't you put a skirt on? Like, I know you, like, he's like, and do your hair or something. I was like, you don't even think I'm pretty. And he's like, I think you're beautiful. I just think we're going to dinner with your parents. It's a special night. They're in Laguna. Like, and I remember,
you'll feel better.
Yeah, you'll feel better. I remember, like, getting ready, like, thinking, like, either he's, like, the biggest shallow jerk or he's going to propose tonight. And so it was the most random. Anyway.
Thank God you were right.
Yeah, so we get in the car. We go, like, we eat dinner, and the whole dinner, he is pounding Jack Daniels. He bought a bottle of Single Barrel.
By the way, he did propose that night, right? Because I meant, thank God you were right that he's going to propose.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, good.
And so he's, like, pounding Single Barrel all night, and I'm like, and we have a steak dinner, like, on this, like, gorgeous, like, patio in, like, Laguna, and, like, homemade. Like, we were at, my parents were staying at my aunt and uncle's house, and they were out of town. And so then he's like, let's go walk the beach at sunset. And I was like, I don't feel good. And my mom's like, let's go. Let's just go walk the beach. And so I went and walked the beach. And I was in his sweatshirt. I just had pulled my hair back. I still had my skirt on. And he proposed. And
wait, do you have pictures of this? I think I've seen them. I've seen it. Because now that you said I had a sweatshirt on.
Yeah, I had a big sweatshirt and then like a little like summer skirt. And he proposed. And I was like, oh my gosh. And
you were happy?
Yeah.
But drugged.
I was like a lot of
Dayquil.
Dayquil and wine. Like don't mix it now that I'm older. But yeah.
And circling back to you though, I feel like you and Adrian
that took way too long to tell.
No, it didn't.
I feel like you guys have like fallen in love a second time recently. Yeah. Which is awesome.
I mean, we had a lot of things stacked up against us in the first 10 years of our marriage. And then after we had Evie, we recommitted ourselves to each other. We had a vow renewal in Virginia.
Weren't you like nursing in the pictures?
In some of them, yeah. Like in the middle of our ceremony and like a lot.
Like we were going to try to be there.
Yeah, I remember. So a lot of our closest friends were there and our family, but it was like his family couldn't come. So it felt very incomplete. But the reality was our family was complete. Yeah. So that felt to us like it's the right time to do it. And I remember my aunt did the ceremony. It's pouring rain. Evie was about 2 months old. And so I'm like nursing her literally, like, as I'm, like, exchanging vows with Adrian.
Yeah.
And it felt right. That felt like the first time we were really committing our lives to each other, honestly.
Yeah.
And we'll probably do that every 10 years. I think it's a really valuable exercise. Like, I know people that are like, you get married once and you're married. And I'm like, no, it's really important to re-experience what it means to say, I am yours and you're mine.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I like this summer we were going to, and we
Yeah.
didn't because life and just getting through stuff. But I want to like redo my vows with Jonathan so bad. I just feel like our first wedding, we're just such different people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I feel like I was so young, and I never would have thought that like when I did get married, I was a little bit of a bridezilla, guys. I was.
Well, you were on Bridezillas, if I remember correctly.
I was on Brides of Beverly Hills.
Sorry, not Bridezillas. Woo, Jen.
Not on
Get
Brides
it
of
right.
I was on Brides of
That's
Beverly
right,
Hills.
Brides of Beverly Hills.
What about you?
Which part do you want to know?
Everything. You've been like hosting this episode, but we want to know.
I like how you say that.
Well, I had been, when I met Ty, he was completely unexpected. I had been in a long-term relationship and I loved him, but I had a really hard time up until meeting Ty ever thinking about really long-term commitment.
You had put so much into the relationship that you had just gotten out of.
Yeah, and I also knew it was time for it to be over when it was over. And I felt for a long time that I would have been much less fearful of having a child and the commitment to a child than I would have being married.
Yeah.
And that confused me because I had felt like I was always like this family person. And of course I was supposed to be a mom, but I was 33 when I met Ty, and I had this really weird moment of being like, will I meet someone? Will I have someone in my life? And it was not long before, and Ty and I had actually already met through an industry thing. We met when I was with my ex in our band, because we were in a band together. This definitely came undone. Oh, well, we'll just stick it back there. But I didn't have a thought in my head about like, maybe this is a potential, like I wasn't like, oh, hey. But we kind of stayed in touch. And then through a series of random, events, which I would be like, oh, the universe like put us together in these weird ways, we ended up going to dinner together and just as friends. And it's kind of like, oh, we kind of work in these industries together, and, we live in the same neighborhood. And
I didn't know you lived in the same neighborhood.
well, we both, I lived in Sherman
Oh.
Oaks and he lived in North Hollywood.
Okay.
And he was kind of new to North Hollywood, and we hung out, and I remember thinking he was really high maintenance because I was like, I'm gonna get a drink, and he was like, well, I don't drink, and I was like, oh, do you want to share stuff because these portions look huge? And he was like, I don't share. And then I was like, oh, the mac and cheese looks amazing. He was like, I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh my God.
But the good news is I wasn't on like any kind of date behavior. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
and then afterwards, he was like, well, I have to stop by this Gautier concert. Do you remember that Somebody I Used to Know song that was huge
yeah.
for a hot second? So I went by that with him. And then when he dropped me off, because he did pick me up, he goes, oh, my friend is she lives right around the corner. She's having a Super Bowl party in a few days. Do you want to go? And I was like, sure. So then he picked me up again.
Didn't you say like you thought he was kind of dorky?
No, I thought, I just didn't have like a thought about him. But when he picked me up the night that was not a date, he had on like a beanie, like a Cubs beanie and a shirt. And I remember thinking like, oh, he's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I hadn't really noticed he's kind of cute.
Like,
And like now I
get
think
it.
my husband's so hot.
Yeah.
I'm like, how would I not have been
Well,
like,
I'm going to say this. I think with all three of our husbands, they have aged very well. They are far hotter in their 40s or late 30s.
Exponentially hotter than he was.
Yes, than in their 20s. And
well,
that's
by the
just a fact.
by the time he picked me up, he had on a jersey and he picked me up for the Super Bowl party, and I was like, oh, he's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I was like, what am I doing? There's no part of me that wants a relationship right now. I do not want to be responsible for anyone's happiness. Like I just was so not in a place of feeling like I wanted a relationship.
Isn't it cool now though? Like looking back, we're not responsible for anyone's
No,
happiness.
no,
Right.
we're not.
But in like the mindset that you have, like
Yeah,
and,
at that
and
time.
you weren't like in your 20s or anything, but
Yeah.
still like it takes a minute to get into a healthy
Is your
relationship.
pinky really tiny?
Is my pinky really tight? What
No,
are you-
it's not. It's not.
What are you
I
What's
just had a
happening?
moment where
What?
I don't know. I don't know what just happened. Her brain glitched and she was like, you have a tiny
And
pinky.
she's making fun of my tiny pinky.
I think it's proportionate.
totally proportional.
I don't have a tiny
Anyway, I'll do the short version of this story.
Carry on. No,
but,
I love
keep
it.
going.
But then I sort of I was like, oh, he's super cute. And then he asked me if I wanted to go to a movie because it was an early game. And so we went to a movie and he paid for the tickets. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And then when he dropped me off, he made this comment about having chapped lips. And I was just like, that was weird. And I remember my roommate being like, he has a crush on you. And he wanted to kiss you. So weeks went by where I was texting with him and I was calling him my crush. But he was almost like pulling my ponytail. He was kind of like teasing me.
Yeah.
And then he said we were supposed to hang out as friends again a month or 2 months later or something because we'd both been traveling and working. And then when we were supposed to hang out the next day, he goes, hey, can we get together because I have a confession? And somehow this dude got me to go over to his apartment. It was like 10 or 11 at night because he was on the air in the evenings at that time.
Oh, so he had just gotten off work?
He'd gotten off work.
Oh.
At like 7, but this was like
It
9.
wasn't like as weird as that sounds.
No, it wasn't as weird as it sounds. And then he basically said, well, my confession, I was like, he has a girlfriend, obviously. And then the confession was that, well, I know that we talked about hanging out as friends tomorrow, but I would actually like to take you on a date. And then, of course, he was very like, so where are you taking me on our date? But from that moment, we would see each other every couple weeks. We didn't talk on the phone. We would text a lot. But every time we would be together, I was like, damn it, stop being perfect for me. Like, so many things aligned with us. And I just loved the way I felt when I was with him. And pretty quickly, it was undeniable that I was very much in love with him, even if I wasn't willing to admit that to myself. In fact, he jokes that he told me I was in love with him.
John did that.
Aw, that's so
John
sweet.
actually caught me. I thought, coming from dating like such jerks,
Yeah.
I put his name as McWonderful in my phone.
Oh, funny.
And he caught that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, you're
into me.
You're totally into
He
me.
knew.
And it was awful.
You showed your
because
hand.
I showed my hand and then he like had me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
But I almost didn't admit it to myself. And then he was moving across the country because he was taking a job there. And he wrote me this letter. He basically said, will you wait?
Wrote you a letter.
Yeah,
wait
he wrote
for
me. He's such a thoughtful person. And he wrote me this letter saying, maybe like there is this life for us together. And then he was like, hey, will you wait 2 years for me? I'm signing a 2-year contract and I will fly back here without fail every 2 weeks. And he was so decisive about our relationship. And I ended up moving to New York. And then I found out I was pregnant. We had a child out of wedlock.
Did you move before you found out you're pregnant or after?
So I planned the move before I found out I was pregnant. And he has this series of videos that he loves that he started making when he found out I was moving to New York. Because the only blip in our relationship was him being like, this is never going to work. I have these crazy hours. She doesn't even live here. Is she as serious as I am about this? And we had this weird week of our relationship. And whereas most times I would have been like, well, screw that. If he's going to be iffy, I'm going to blah. But I was like, no, I told my sister, I was like, if he's ending this, he's going to do it to my face because we are too good for this to end without a good reason. And when I came to New York, it was really that he had truly like fallen, like the couple weird moments we had. Later, he was like, it's because I was really falling in love with you and I just didn't know where this was going. But I didn't even know if we would ever get married. He kind of like talked a lot about Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. And then I was pregnant and didn't even care. I was like, this is my person. I don't care.
Yeah.
I was looking back. I'm like, I was so secure in what we had that I didn't even care. I just knew this was my person.
Yeah.
It was disconcerting from my family because I was coming from a long-term relationship and they're like, who's this dude? And now you're pregnant. But interestingly, when you guys say, oh, we need to recommit, we need to whatever, Ty and I talked about this not long ago where I don't know if it's because we met later in life.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Truly, because you changed so much in your 20s.
You changed so much, and I was like, man, he knows who he is. We both we're already just these fully formed humans when we met. It's almost like
parents.
Well, and
which
sometimes
is a whole other layer.
We
of
went
who
through
you are.
so much hard stuff, all these moves, job changes, having kids so early in our marriage.
I get that.
And if anything, we feel like, I miss you because we didn't get that year, 2 years, 5 years, the time that some people have to just pour into each other. We immediately had kids. We immediately were full on, knowing we were in the right relationship, but also being like, hi, I miss you. I love you. Almost like absence makes the heart grow fonder sort of mentality. And there's
envy that.
there's no part of me that makes me feel like I need to recommit because I still almost feel like a newlywed. And
I do get that.
We're almost celebrating our 10-year. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, and I just feel like I'm so in love with him. Well, next year. Well, next November. So this year, yeah.
Oh my God.
So I feel
I can't believe that's been
so
10
in love
years.
with him. So like he's my person. So not that like any relationship, we go in and out of feeling just like we're getting enough time with each other, and there are moments of feeling a little more disconnected, and it's not like we don't have our hard moments, but overall I'm just so into my husband. I just love him. I just have like, I'm so in love with him. Oh, and when actually he told me he loved me was when I accidentally slipped up, and I said this in my vows, you were there, is that I told him that I liked him more than peanut butter, and he knew I loved peanut butter. And so he's like, you love me.
You love me.
But then he did say, I just have this very distinct moment. I don't know the moment I fell in love with him. Maybe it was the soap moment that we talked about in the episode we just recorded. But I do know that when he told me he loved me, like he was just very much like I have realized, that I'm in love with you. And he was just very open with his words, and he's just still is that way. And I just am like,
I love Ty.
I could get emo. I am
He's
so,
perfect
I
for
feel
you.
so
Yeah,
lucky
He really is.
to have this man be mine.
I love that.
I feel
Aw.
very, very lucky. I'm just very, very in love with my husband.
I didn't say this earlier, but the first time Jonathan told me he loved me, we were in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it was on a Sunday, and so his parents have a little house in Mexico, and we would go there frequently. And
Oh yeah, the one where you
Oh,
used to
the
go poop
poop.
in the.
That's
Yeah,
right. The poop.
the poop house.
Yes.
And so I remember that he took me there after we were dating for 3 months. Which when we first started dating, he's like, "Oh, I don't take girls there unless we're dating a minimum 6 months." And he was like, "I don't let people meet my parents unless we're dating a minimum of a year."
He broke all his own rules.
Yeah, I met his parents after 3 weeks of dating.
Oh
he
my
took
gosh.
me to Mexico 3 months after, and I remember going there, and I packed 2 suitcases full. I had no idea what I was doing. I needed like a carry-on and like a swimsuit and like a sweatsuit, like, and that was it.
3 suitcases?
Oh, it was 2.
Two.
So,
I thought you said 3.
I remember thinking like he's totally gonna tell me he loves me. It's been 3 months, and I was just like, I thought I was like head over heels, like in everything. And,
I think in a relationship, 3 months is a pretty ample amount of time to know if you're in love with someone.
and he didn't tell me, and I was so mad because I was moving in with him, and I was like, what am I doing? And so when we got back, I moved in with him, and he didn't tell me he loved me. And then that was in February. We went for Valentine's Day, and he didn't tell me. And so he made me wait until May. We went back to Mexico, and I remember telling myself, I am not going to be with this man if he cannot tell me he loves me. Like, I'm not. And so we did the whole trip there, and like every time like something sweet would happen, I would think he was gonna say it, and he didn't. And so we packed up.
You were just setting yourself up for disappointment over and over.
And I was 21. I will say I was 21 years old. And so we're packing up to leave, and I am huffing and puffing and slamming doors and like just mad. And he's like, "Come on, the sun's setting. We have a 3-hour drive home. Let's go say goodbye to the ocean." And I was like, "No, I'm fine." And I was sitting in the car pouting.
Cues, Kaela.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to the ocean.
That's not John.
No.
Right? And I was so.
I don't want to say goodbye to the ocean.
I was like, fine. And so
I want to say goodbye to this trip.
He
I'm over it.
he ended up telling me he loved me on like a Sunday sunset. And so we
Aw.
got
So
married.
sweet.
We got married on a Sunday because it was really important to us. Like,
Well, I have to give John credit because he's like quietly romantic. He's
Yeah.
like super sweet in these very subtle, not outwardly like showy ways. Yeah. Should we go get dinner, guys?
Yes,
dinner.
On that
let's
note,
go get
let's
dinner.
Go celebrate our love over dinner.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
bye.
Happy
Now,
Valentine's
wait,
Day.
now we have to get out of these.
Oh,
that could
good
take
Lord.
a while.
Good Lord.
Oh yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Guys, look at this. It's just not going down.
The Hi, My Name is Mom studio is brought to you by the Yard Sale Store. Check them out at yardsalestore.com and on socials at Yard Sale USA.